Welcome to the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast. This is episode 21, and we are live with Fantasy Football Intervention, Daddy's Home FF, Calvin and Hobby, and Jay Mueller PT. Welcome, guys. Chase, what do you got for us?
Oh, God, all sorts of fun stuff. We got all sorts of wild things going on. If you guys tuned into the episode that we had earlier, right, for Fantasy Intervention, you guys would have found some of that stuff. But a lot of the good information was provided by, of course, Dynasty Vipers with, oh man, Matt Donnelly and Calvin and Hobbs. So you guys tell me what's in store for us.
Well, we're gonna put a new spin on the show this week. We are gonna get you some Viper Strikes. Our boy here, Calvin here, he puts together some Viper Strike articles over at the DynastyVipers.com, in which we take a look at each matchup and we kind of throw a couple of little bits of information out there, throw a couple hot takes. So we're gonna go around the league really quick. We're gonna try and keep this about 90 minutes or less, which would be a record for us. We got our PT man there, Jeff here, joining us in, giving us some injury information and a bunch of other good stuff. My brother from another here, Daddy's Home, my fellow Kirk Cousins supporter here, which is going to lead us into a little bit of a challenge later. But we got something special happening for our viewers from now on. It's kind of a Kenny versus Spenny type of thing here, where every week myself and Calvin will put a hot take together, and we will kind of have a humiliation challenge at the end of it. So this week's challenge, we haven't quite got to the matchup yet. I think we have an idea what it is, thanks to Mike and Calvin's disagreement earlier, in which I agreed with Mike. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But this week, the loser going into next week will have their daughter come live on the show and do Daddy's makeup. And I mean, we are going lipstick, we are going eyeshadow, we're doing everything, but we're not going to miss a beat because we're going to keep going through each week's matchups while the makeup's getting done.
Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see Matt Donnelly.
Well, let's put it this way. Calvin's got a much nicer canvas to work on, right? I'm going to got that little, throw a little mask on me and I'll do a little dance for you. But Calvin, look, he's got like a whole canvas to work with over there. But this is a weekly thing. So you're going to want to tune in every week to see how we get humiliated going forward. And I mean, this could turn into loser has to wear nothing but a jock strap during a show. We're going to throw it out there to Twitter. We're going to say, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? We're going to put it out there. What should that challenge be every week? So make sure you're tuning in. Throw us up. Hit some DMs. Hit the Dynasty Vipers up on the DM there at Dynasty Vipers. Throw those challenges out there. What do you want to see us do? So we're going to leave that to the people, and we're going to do this every week, and let's see what happens.
Hey, can you guys real quick send me the live stream onto our private group chat so I can make sure that everybody sees this, because everybody needs to see this, and that's the reality situation. Everybody needs to see what's going on over here at Dynasty Vipers.
Well, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the little challenge you and I issued out there, the chest waxing challenge at 2,000 followers. That will also be live streamed once yourself and myself make it to that point. So,
how close are we? What's the update?
I'm at 1820.
I'm at almost 17. I'm at 1677. So, guys, follow me. Get me up to 2,000 followers. Follow Matt Donnelly, Dingus, at Dingus4. And let's get these followers up there, guys. Like, we are so close. We're both going to get our chests waxed.
Yes.
On a live stream.
And I guarantee you make it there before I do.
No, we're doing it as a team. I'm going to make people unfollow me if they follow me before they follow you at this point. So, real quick, guys, we have some little bit of background noise. I don't want to make it, awkward like it was a couple weeks ago. I'm just trying to make sure that we get everybody, Is it Mike over there? Who's typing that we're hearing a lot of background noise from?
I'm on mute, not even know how to type, so not me.
I was typing there. That's my bad.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. Just yeah, that noise.
No, it could be me too. I was just trying to copy and paste some links and put it out there so we can move that around a little bit. So
cool, perfect.
Okay, so without further ado, we're going to kind of touch back. We don't spend much time here talking about the week that was, because no one cares about what happened last week. We're looking forward to this week. So when we go through these matchups, We know the injuries, yes, they happened last week, but how do they affect the teams going forward? How do they affect the teams going into this matchup this week? I can't wait. If you tune into the FF Intervention show there, I totally took a shot at the Tennessee Titans, probably not playing another game until week 12. So we'll probably get into that a little bit, which really dampers Corey Davis' season. So let's take a look around the league here. We'll start with the Thursday night football matchup. We've got the Bucks visiting the Bears, which is kind of an interesting one in itself because I'm going to turn this right over to Jeff off the get-go because we've got injuries coming out of the Bucks camp here that are going to be huge going forward, not just this week, but beyond. What do you got for us, Jeff?
Yeah, this is the craziest year I've seen for injuries. So far, Chris Godwin for the Bucks has already been ruled out. Justin Watson, his fill-in, has been ruled out. Scotty Miller is questionable with hip and groin injuries, but he's expected to play. So he might be a flyer. As everyone knows, OJ Howard's out for the year with an Achilles. What do you guys think? Who gets the bigger boost, Cameron Brate or Gronk?
Take it, Mike.
You know I'm a Brate guy. You know that. We already talked about that earlier. I literally blew I think 15% of my fab. Yeah, I blew my load all over Cameron Brate. That's how I do it. Realistically, I think Gronk is a shadow of what he was. He is, the back is not there. He's running like he's in cement. I mean, he looks like he's in a mafia movie with cement shoes. Give me Brate for touchdown upside, 5 to 7 targets, 50 yards. And honestly, with the tight end position being what it is, if I can get 9 to 11 points out of my tight end, I'm feeling pretty stoked right now. So Brate's the guy I'm going to.
I'm going to flip this back to Jeff here. What's the long-term look like for Chris Godwin here and Mike Evans going forward?
Mike Evans, I'm not concerned about. He actually finished the game. He dominated the rest of the game. I think he had, 3 catches before his injury. And he finished with 7 or 8 over 100 yards, I believe. I'd have to look at the stats again. But, Mike Evans, I'm not concerned about. He'll play tomorrow. I expect him to. Godwin, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he misses 1 more week, but he now has a week and a half to get practice in. He for sure has a grade 2 sprain. This is going to be a 2nd week missed. So, he could very well miss next week too.
Mike, what are you looking forward to in this Bucks-Bears game? What's the one thing you're looking for?
I mean, the one thing for me realistically is I'm still trying to figure out with Cohen out, what's Monty? Like, is he now a bell cow? Is he a guy we can rely on? Is he going to get out in the flat? Is he going to make those catches? In this lineup, I feel like we pretty much know what everyone's role is except for Monty. And I'm just trying to figure out, is this guy a straight out bust or is he ready to break out in his 2nd year?
Outside of Austin Eckler, who rushed for, 2 had 2 carries for 12 yards, there hasn't been a single running back who has posted over 2.3 yards per carry up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's no way that Monty is actually a play this week. But when it comes to the upside, I love all 3 receivers in all different ways, to be honest with you, when it comes to the Bears. And I'm not a Nick Foles fan. I think Nick Foles is a terrible quarterback. He's had 4 interceptable passes over 6 quarters. That's absolutely horrendous. However, he has attempted, I think, the 4th most deep ball attempts in 6 quarters, which is 12. I think Darnell Mooney could actually be a play here, for those deep leagues. But Allen Robinson, who should face up against Sean Murphy-Bunting, is absolutely the guy to go with this week. He's a no-brainer start. Now, when it comes to the running back position with Keyshawn Vaughn, I think that he will actually be a pass long as both Leonard Fournette and McCoy are out, which I think they both should be. So I'm actually going to be starting for the first time ever. I'm actually going to be starting Keyshawn Vaughn. I think he's a play this week.
I probably should have muted your mic before you got there.
You always beat me. I don't.
It's Rojo and Keyshawn Vaughn.
Kelvin, what's the one thing you're looking for in this matchup? It's Thursday night football here.
Yeah, no, I think so. Father Time has had a really good run, but it's getting really nervous right now about Tom Brady. He's really been fantastic in this 47,000-year-old guy that he is. I don't know. He looked great. I mean, 5 touchdowns, but look, this is not the week that I think Tom Brady is going to have a lot of success. The Chicago defense is really good. They've been fantastic, especially with Akeem Hicks back in. They've just looked fantastic on the ground, against the run, against the pass. It doesn't matter. In fact, both of these teams have actually been really good on defense. I don't think this is going to be something that I'm expecting a lot of points. David Montgomery, Mike, to your point, I think David Montgomery, yes, he had a rough week last week. Colts are also really tough against the run. Tampa Bay has been tough against the run. He is my absolute favorite buy right now, and a lot of it is he's going to get a lot of the work, and the matchups after this get really nice. He's got a very good schedule, and then especially after his bye week, I think look really good to close the season. I think he's a really sneaky guy that you might, after this week, after Thursday night, when he disappoints again, you might be able to scoop him up pretty cheap in some leagues, and he could ride you to a title.
I like the take.
So I got one. Everyone's here to come listen to Chase and Mike and Jeff and Calvin to give you some real information. I'm not here to give real information. So my one thing I'm looking for is how soon do we see Mitch Trubisky take over for Nick Foles here in this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I say Trubisky's coming in second half, rescues the Bears, gives them the win, and then starts the rest of the season.
Dingus, I love you, but there's no chance. There is 0.0% chance that happens. Absolutely none. The fact is that Foles finally showed what he was in the second half after getting no practice with the ones, after getting no preseason with this team. Foles showed his worst this week and was still better than Trubisky's best. That man does not get under center for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah. It's Trubisky time. Time to go back. Anyway. Now we're moving on to matchup 2 because we got to keep this thing rolling here. Cardinals, Jets. Ugh. Chase, what's the one thing you're looking for in the Cardinals-Jets matchup?
Oh, man. I'm looking for Kyler Murray to then find Kenyon Drake. I don't happen. I'm more of a Chase Edmonds fan, but I'm even more of an Eno Benjamin fan. Eno Benjamin could actually be the future running back here if Aaron Jones does not end up in Arizona. But... yeah, no, I'm looking for Kyler Murray to try and find more targets for his running backs. I mean, it just needs to happen. The play calling for Cliff Kingsbury has not been good when it comes to finding other options outside of DeAndre Hopkins. Andy Isabella needs to find more targets, right? Christian Kirk needs to find a better role. We have, Benjamin who, needs to find a role whatsoever. And of course, Chase Edmonds needs to find a role in this offense as a whole. It needs to spread out. That's what I'm looking for.
Fair enough. Calvin, what do you got?
This feels like a career-defining week for Kenyon Drake. I mean, he's got coming off of a matchup that was really nice for him, and he really disappointed us. The Jets matchup obviously also is very nice. He's at home in this one. That could make a difference. Hopefully, we could get an opportunity to see the best of him, but it's really just blind trust at this point. I'm with Chase. I love Benjamin. I hope at some point this year we get a chance to see him take some snaps. The Jets also, this is a little sneaky thing. They signed Ty Johnson from the Detroit Lions practice squad this past week. That backfield is an absolute mess. You might just want to scoop up Ty Johnson and just see maybe he makes an impact.
That's hot take.
Mike, what do you got for this matchup?
All right. So the tweet I put out that got the most action this week was my favorite. Le'Veon Bell is back, and you can instantly take him off of your IR and put him on your list of disappointing players on your roster, and finally stop blaming your losing record by his hamstrings, and you can start blaming it on your bad life choices. If you drafted Le'Veon Bell and think that his hamstrings are the reason why you suck at fantasy football, it's not. It's because you suck at picking players, and you picked Le'Veon Bell. He is going to put up 2.8 yards. He is literally an expensive Devonta Freeman, and he's a fucking embarrassment to the NFL. So congratulations, he's back. Your team still sucks, and nothing has changed from last week to this week. Only thing that's going to differ is that you put him in your lineup, and he's going to embarrass you on the field rather than on the IR.
Which is this really the week you want to come back if you're Le'Veon Bell on the MetLife turf? Is that where you really want to come back? Like that seems like a very bad idea. The way things have been going.
He'll be back for 2 quarters. He will literally make one of those half-ass cuts. He'll pop a hamstring. It'll be done. But at least you got your 3rd round pick. You get to see him on the field for 24 minutes or so. Congratulations.
Yeah, but we do know that this is Frank Gore's backfield, right?
Absolutely. Frank Gore is indestructible. The only person who can survive the MetLife turf is Frank Gore, without question. He is indestructible, and if Adam Gase breaks him, just shoot him in the fucking head because you cannot break Frank Gore. He is indestructible. No. MetLife, Adam Gase can't do it. He is guaranteed points. Le'Veon Bell, on the other hand, is just a horrible 3rd round pick. You pissed it away. Just burn your money and go home.
Jeff, what do you got?
I think 2.8 yards per carry is generous for Le'Veon Bell. We haven't even talked about, Sam Darnold's out. It's Joe Flacco, right? I can't go there.
He's not even going to touch the subject. He's like
elite.
out.
He's elite, Jeff.
He's elite. Even Kenny Drake. We all know Greg Williams sells out to stop the run. I'm not worried about the chest injury. He'll be fine. But I think it's going to be another Chase Edmonds week. Kenyon will disappoint, and people will finally start selling.
The Cardinals are on the ropes here. They've lost a couple in a row. This has one of those things that's like, hey, we're going to get right this week. But what if you don't? What if you somehow manage to be that one team that can manage to lose to the Jets going from West Coast to East Coast? This is something like, I know it seems like outrageous that the Cardinals could lose to the Jets, but that West Coast to East Coast travel is real. So this is one of those games, if I'm doing like the sports select, I'm probably boxing it because it does concern me a little bit. It seems like it's too easy of a bet for me. But the one thing I'm looking for is my boy Vincent Smith. He is designated to return this week. He should be activated right before kickoff. Let's see if he plays. That's the one thing I'm looking for.
Hey, Arizona lost to the Carolina Panthers last week, so it's very possible. They also lost to the Detroit Lions. So
yeah, like I said, this is a game that scares me. If I'm a betting man, which I'm not because I'm too cheap, this is a game I would definitely be concerned about. Moving along here, we got the game that may not happen. We got the Bills and the Titans here. Calvin, what do you got for the Bills and the Titans?
So last week was Josh Allen's toughest test yet against the Las Vegas Raiders, and he passed that one with flying colors. I think there's no reason to doubt him at this point. I had him at 6 coming into the season. I think that was too low. I think we got to seriously start considering him in that top 3, if not top 2. I'm watching to see, does he continue to, push the ball downfield? And, Devin Singletary has been pretty active out of the backfield. I think I'd like to see him get a little bit more usage. This is one of your last weeks. I think that you can play him. He's got a very tough schedule coming up. Devin Singletary, if you can get David Montgomery for him, that's a swap that I'm willing to do.
Ooh, a little David Montgomery for Devin Singletary. I don't hate it. That schedule for the Bears lightens up considerably going forward. Chase, you look like you wanted to jump in there when he was crowning Josh Allen as a top 3 quarterback. I think it's kind of hard to disagree with it right now with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Russell Wilson playing as well as they're playing right now, and Lamar Jackson not playing the way we expected Lamar Jackson to play. What says you?
So I love Josh Allen. I love him. He's got a very brutal schedule after week 8, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I was trying to sell him by week 6. However, you have Russell Wilson going off, right? You have, Josh Allen obviously going off as well. But, Dak Prescott, which one do you want to choose? And the way that the top 3 quarterbacks are going in the draft, I'd much rather wait to get a guy that's, top, 3 or 4 to 6 than try and draft Josh Allen with that late round schedule. So I love Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen, but I don't think you need to draft him. I don't need to go, I don't think you need to go acquire him as a top 3 option with the schedule that he's already had. The Raiders are a good overall team, but not, they're not the same defense. So like I said, I mean, I don't think we need to consider him as a top 3 option, but top 6 is definitely viable. And the difference between, a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, which is what the top 3 guys were going, versus a 8th round pick, which is where the top 6 guys were going. Yeah, I don't think you need to go pay up. They're all really close right now.
I'm on the mute this time. I muted myself. There you go. I'm getting bad on that. I'm trying to be polite and like have myself on mute so you don't hear like the weird noises in the background, like the dog cleaning himself. But Jeff, what do you got for us in this matchup? Are the Titans even going to have our team to play this week?
I was looking at their depth chart with everyone on COVID, and that's of the players that we know who are on the COVID list. And they have A.J. Brown, who might not even play, still dealing with the bone bruise. Khalif Raymond, and honestly, I don't even know who the 3rd guy is, because Adam Humphries is on COVID list, reserve list. Corey Davis is out. Jonnu thankfully hasn't gotten it, so I don't know if I want to invest in anyone. What do you guys think?
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry and Jonas Smith may be the only guys you can even consider throwing in there. I'm trying to look at this depth chart right now.
Nick
non-existent.
Nick Westbrook. Westbrook is number 3 option if A.J. Brown actually plays. Right now, it's Raymond and Westbrook until A.J. Brown gets clearance to play. You may be seeing Darrington Evans playing out of the slot just because they need someone to play that slot receiver role.
Have you guys covered yet the whole new designation for how teams actually have to bring in people if they're not on the practice squad?
No,
are you guys aware of that?
Yeah, I've kind of read up on it a little bit here. I haven't gone too much in depth because I didn't think, honestly, we'd get to the point where the Titans have actually gotten themselves to where they're as bad a shape as they are. But they do have protected players on their practice squad that no one else can kind of touch. So that's kind of a good thing there as well, right? Guys, you can come up, can put them right back down as kind of a weekly flyer type thing for each and every squad. But they're going to have to call up their entire practice squad, plus probably try and sign a couple guys elsewhere just to field a team if they do play this week.
Well, the interesting thing is the kicker situation, right? Because teams, they have to wait 6 days. They have to wait 6 total days before they are actually able to bring in a guy. And so backup quarterbacks and backup kickers are getting signed like crazy right now. There's no other replacement for these guys, especially with kickers, punters, etc., where they can actually bring in a guy. And we saw that as a result with Monday night matchup where, and that's the best case scenario. That's not even the scenario now where they can't bring in a guy for 6 total days before he actually gets cleared. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a whole different case scenario this week, and McNichols might actually be a thing. Who knows?
Michael Pruitt was thrown out there too.
No. What do you got for us, Mike?
All right, well, Buffalo, Tennessee. First of all, I want to tout something just because I don't do much that's very good on this fucking Twitter stream. But on November 24th, 2019, yours truly predicted Josh Allen to be the QB1 for the 2020 season. So I'm riding that motherfucker. I am riding him. I got laughed at, but told he couldn't throw because the take lock on his draft analysis was embarrassing at best. I will not sit Josh Allen on a bye week, even if there's a fucking fire. That dude is staying in my starting lineup regardless. Don't give a shit who he's playing, whether he's playing, ankle injuries, whatever. The dude is staying in my starting lineup. Other than that, this is just an avoid. It is an avoid matchup beyond belief. Singletary, maybe. He looked like he was beasting. I mean, I'll give it to him. But once Moss comes back, I always have trouble trusting running backs that are only getting the carries between the 20s. He's not getting the goal line work, even if Moss is injured. Josh Allen's their goal line back. So realistically, with the COVID, with the defenses involved here, I am staying away from Henry. I just don't like anyone going against Buffalo. I'm staying away from pretty much anyone not named Josh Allen. But if I was going to leave my girlfriend for a man, it would be Josh Allen. So he is going to my lineup regardless.
I'm eating ice cream. I'm eating ice cream so I could cool down your take from being the quarterback one. I had to go to the freezer. I'm literally eating ice cream right now.
November 24th, 2019. I have that shit up on my screen right now. The QB1 for 2020, Josh Allen. And with all due respect, he is pretty fucking close to that right now.
I'm cooling down your take. That's all I'm saying.
You can, and that's okay. The last time you actually argued with me was Gallup over Lamb, and that didn't go well. This is going to happen again. Josh Allen, QB1.
So I'm sitting here, and I'm like, okay, half the Titans are done. They're sick. I'm like, how long does it take before the Titans bring in Clipboard Jesus again? When does Clipboard Jesus get another shot? That's what I want to know with the Titans, because you know what's coming. You talk about, Chase just kind of talked about how all these backup quarterbacks, all these backup kickers, they're getting signed. Well, you've got Clipboard Jesus who knows some of your offense. Bring him back. Bring back Charlie. Everyone wants Charlie to come back. This is what I want to see. Clipboard Jesus back in Tennessee.
I will literally blow all my fab on Clipboard Jesus if he shows up. Literally 100%.
Is that Cole McDonald?
Oh, it's Charlie Whitehurst now.
Charlie Whitehurst, my man.
He's the only guy he can, Clipboard Jesus can walk on COVID. I'm telling you right now.
He'll cure the whole team. He will literally cure the whole team in one wave.
Anyone else got to take here on this one, or can we move on to the next match?
One other note on that, Zach Moss is expected back too. So I've been telling people you might want to sell high on Devin Singletary.
Yep.
So that's good to know there too, because we know our Ball Blast girls there. They love themselves some Zach Moss, and this could just be a matter of time for Devin Singletary.
He's not
Shout
good,
out.
though.
He's got 1.8 yards a carry or something. He's fine.
He's great at running right into his guard.
Yep.
Yeah, the people that selected Zach Moss over Josh Kelly, I laughed my ass off.
Well, now we'll get to this the Chargers matchup in a little bit, but I just want to put a little seed in your guys' head before we get there. Josh Kelly now has to compete for touches with Kellen Balazs, so let's not forget that. Speaking of, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Titans injuries, we're going to move to the Eagles Steelers, where if you think the Tennessee Titans have been hit by injuries and COVID, has there been a team that's been hit more than perhaps the Eagles so far as the injury bug goes, especially that wide receiver core?
Yeah.
And again, head over. Who wants this one?
The Chargers have. Their offensive line has been decimated. Every position has been decimated. The Chargers are in full circle, just terrible right now with injuries.
That's a normal thing for the Chargers, though. This is every year for the Chargers when they get hit.
The Chargers and the Washington football team are both in the same situation, just for the record.
We're not going to
get in there too.
The Niners been bad too. The Niners been hit hard this year, too, especially at key positions.
I mean, the Broncos are an embarrassment with injuries right now.
Oh, for the Falcons secondary, but we're all right. So let me backtrack. Right, the only team that wasn't as decimated by injuries at that position was the one that Jeff mentioned. On a normal basis. So I'm going to go ahead and let Jeff talk about that one, because that's the only one that's out of the ordinary, in my opinion.
Wait, which one?
The one you mentioned.
The 49ers?
Yeah, they're the only one that's not they're always decimated by injuries, but not as bad as these other teams are.
Well, we'll come back to the 49ers in a little bit. They'll come up on here. We got a few matchups to get to. I just want to try and stick to this normal. We're on the Eagles and the Steelers right now. So, Jeff, do you got any insight on these Eagles-Steelers for us?
Well, last week, really the only healthy wide receiver available was Greg Ward. Looks like they're going to be getting Djax back, possibly, unless he has a hamstring setback, which is 99% likely. J-Jaw is going to play, probably get half a catch. And, I mean, that's still kind of it. So I'm curious if they get Hakeem Butler involved more.
Hakeem Butler's an interesting one for me. And I'll kind of move on to my take here. I want to see if Hakeem Butler can overtake Ricard Rodgers as the tight end 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I want to see, because I don't think Rodgers is very good, and Hakeem Butler is definitely not a wide receiver. They said they signed themselves a tight end in Hakeem Butler. And if that's where they want to keep Hakeem Butler at tight end, if he can slide into that tight end 2 role and pass Rodgers, that's something I want to watch. I want to see how that develops and see what happens there, because I'm not a big fan of Raquel Rodgers there. I've never been a big fan of Rodgers. But there is a desperate need for pass catchers in the city of brotherly love. Mike, I seen you shaking your head at me.
Oh, it's funny. I actually the only time I've lost followers on Twitter was I made a Hakeem Butler joke. I lost like 12 followers in 8 minutes. It was fucking hilarious. But I'll tell you what, like if you ever question why your kids believe in Santa Claus, it's the same people that believe in fucking Hakeem Butler. People anointed him as the 101 pre combine, and all of a sudden he dropped to the whatever was it, 5th round, 4th round, and everyone's like, well, what happened to Hakeem Butler? And literally, I mean, Josh Rosen gave Hakeem Butler like any bit of news, and you fuckers grab onto that shit like gold. Like you have something going for you. They transitioned him to a tight end because he sucks at wide receiver. And he's behind 2 very good tight ends. Once Goddard comes back from what's a hairline fracture in his ankle, he will once again be on the open market. And then some team who has no idea what they're doing, let's say the Jets, for example, will sign him as their tight end too. And you guys will pop up on Twitter again, just like you do, like fucking what do they call prairie dogs? You guys will pop up and Becky Hakeem Butler signed again, and we'll all get excited. Yeah, Linda, there's no Santa Claus, sorry. But yeah, that's what Hakeem Butler is a bad football player who got signed to a team who is legitimately looking at him as a 2 to 3 week option. And the reason why he signed is because no one else wanted him. He's just not good at football, and you guys can spend your fab or your waiver priority all you want. And I'm out, and I just lost probably 17 more followers by making that statement, but I don't care. The guy sucks at football. So there's where we are.
Okay,
he said 17.
I'm going to back this up a little bit. So I'm with you about 50% of what you said. I don't think he's terrible at football. I definitely think he's a terrible wide receiver. When I was doing my scouting and my breaking down of him, for me, he was always a tight end. Everything about him. He didn't have the speed. He had the size. He had the length. He was going to struggle as an inline blocker. That was not his thing. He wasn't going to be able to do that. So he wasn't going to be your traditional inline blocking tight end who can pass catch. You'd have to use him in that Jordan Reed kind of role going forward. That was how I had him envisioned. That's what I thought he would be. And then when he got drafted as a wide receiver, I was like, ooh, no, Linda, that's not it, baby. That's not it. You know what I mean? It was just Hakeem Butler as a wide receiver is not for me. Chase, what do you got?
He's Robert Tonyan 2.0. I'm not a Hakeem Butler fan at all, not even in the least amount. But he's a tight end. He's been putting on weight. Carolina Panthers put him on, on their practice squad. It's going to take him years. So in redraft leagues, no, you don't need a Hakeem Butler. It's going to take him years to put on weight. Even in dynasty leagues, I'm going to let him hang. Hang low. But within the next year or two, I'm going to start looking at camp reports. I'm going to start looking at beat reporters, and I'm going to add him as a tight end, not a wide receiver. Right now, though, I don't see it happening for him. He doesn't have the weight to be able to block to be in the plays.
See, now I'm not against that. Like, don't get me wrong. If you want to talk 2 to 3 years down the road, but honestly, what I love is that everyone celebrated Philly like it wasn't the absolute fucking worst place for him to sign. Robert Tonyan, Darren Waller, these are the names that I hear, and the fact is the only reason why they succeeded was target share. And he's not going to get that in Philadelphia with Ertz, with Goddard being there. You can wave your chips all you want. But Tonyan only jumped up because Adams got hurt. because Lazard had a abdominal injury. Waller only succeeded because there was no fucking other options. And they had to throw to him because the only other option was Jalen Richard. Hakeem Butler went to legitimately, for him, the absolute worst situation, and people celebrated it like they just won the lottery. It could not have been worse for him. He'll never get that target share in Philly. He has to go somewhere else, which he will, because he'll get cut because he sucks. But he has to get cut and go somewhere else where he can get that high level target share. Philly's not the place for him.
Calvin, what do you got for this matchup? What's something you're looking for here?
I won't waste anybody else's time by talking about Hakeem Butler, so I will just move on to the other most interesting tight end in this matchup, and it's Eric Ebron, Mike's guy. I can't believe he didn't talk about him. But Eric Ebron, he rolled the dice. He gets the prime matchup against tight ends this season, and it's been the Philadelphia Eagles, outside of a really disappointing Drew Sample week where T. Higgins really kind of filled in that role. But Eric Ebron, Ben Roethlisberger is very good. When he's healthy, he's going to find his tight end. He's going to throw a lot. I think it's definitely somebody that I'm interested in. Also, how bad do you feel for Carson Wentz? Look, we've all been there where you're just in desperate need of a slump buster, and they're just he turns the schedule over, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers that are on the schedule for him. That is a terrible draw for him. And look, I'm hoping Jalen Hurts comes in, but not this game, not the Steelers.
What do you mean by slump buster over there?
Oh, no. Carson Wentz is
you've
in
made
desperate need of
a couple times. Don't lie, Chase.
What do you mean by slump buster? I'm just curious.
Calvin knows I love that call. I fucking love Ebron. 5 touchdowns other than Chase's call on Drew Sample that 1 week. Giving up 5 TDs to tight ends. Love Ebron this game. Smash play. Easy lineup.
Tight ends.
I'm legitimately concerned who's going to cover who for the Eagles. You got Deontay Johnson, James Washington, and you've got Juju Smith-Schuster out there. You got Eric Ebron out there. The Eagles secondary has never been that good. Their linebackers, Alex Singleton, is he going to cover Ebron? Are they going to let Jalen Mills cover Ebron? Like, come on, it could get ugly. It could get quick, and yeah, man. Carson Wentz needs a little bit of love. I think he's had like 7 interceptions already. He's got 6 touchdowns, but I think 3 were from the rushing variety. Like, he's got no weapons to throw to. It's been painful to watch. When Greg Ward is your man, I don't know if there's a worse group. And the worst part, the thing that gets me more than anything, I know we're spending more time on the Eagles than I wanted to, is the lack of use of Miles Sanders in the passing game for the Eagles. You've got your best pass catcher on your team. You can't, because he doesn't have time right now. Half his offensive line's been out all season. They just lost another guy.
Over his head.
He's probably scared. He's like PST or whatever you want to call it right now. He's been running with half a line all season. Lane Johnson, their best lineman, has got a bad ankle, so he's not even 100%. So really, they've only got 1 starting lineman coming into the season that's healthy. Like it's bad all the way around there for the Eagles.
I have yet to watch one Eagles game where I haven't seen at least 2 offensive linemen leave and walk to the locker room and be replaced mid-game. Every single game.
Oh, absolutely. It's painful to watch. It really is. And I do believe in Carson Wentz. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, but this is not the year. Like, I literally dropped him in 1 league, and I just picked up Justin Herbert just as a bye-week replacement for Matt Stafford because I waited on quarterback. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can get Stafford and Wentz. This is a fantastic combination to have. Yeah, not so much. Speaking of fantastic combinations, we'll get there in a second. What'd you have there, Jeff?
One quick note on the Steelers, too, is I see a lot of people kind of panicking on Deontay Johnson and Juju popping up on the injury report. They'll be on the injury report every Wednesday. Probably did not practice. Deontay with his toe and then Juju with his knee. That's no concern at all. And Deontay is cleared from concussion protocol.
Excellent. That's good news to hear. Speaking of great combinations, we got an AFC West matchup we got to talk about. We got to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. in what is a fantastic matchup. But as brought up on Fantasy Football Intervention there, I just want the world to know Corey Davis has more receiving touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes has this year. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, for me, I'll start this one because I'm the Raiders homer here. I want to tie this into the COVID. I want to tie this into there's two very distinct things. Hurst just came on the COVID thing, the defensive lineman that was caught embracing Josh Allen after the game last week there. So he's on the COVID report. And we saw Patrick Mahomes and Stephon Gilmore exchange pleasantries after the game. And we know Gilmore is now on the COVID report. So I don't know how moistly they spoke to each other, but this is definitely something to watch moving forward. So for me, that's what I want to watch. And I can't wait.
Moistly.
Moistly. It's a fantastic word, isn't it? At least when I speak moistly, my stash catches like 90% of it. So I'm like COVID free. You don't have to worry about that. I want to see where the Raiders really are. I want to see Henry Ruggs get healthy. I want to see Bryan Edwards healthy. And then I want to see them try and go blow for blow with the Chiefs and see where they're at in reality. If you remember last year, and I know I get gooned here being a homer, but outside of the second quarter against the Chiefs, the Raiders actually outscored the Chiefs in that one game. It was the second quarter in which the Chiefs absolutely blew them out. They scored like 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. So we're not going to go touch base on that too much. But for 3 quarters of the game, they were pretty evenly matched. And this was Raiders with a really bad defense with no weapons. And now I think they've got Bryan Edwards, if he can get healthy, which I think he's doubtful again. Ruggs is very questionable at best. So, again, it's going to be the Waller and Jacobs show. So, hopefully Ruggs can get back in the lineup. I see Jeff's kind of taking a look at some numbers there. Looking back, he's already shook his head that Edwards looks like he's probably out. Henry Ruggs?
Yeah, Edwards is actually still in a boot, apparently. I saw a report this morning. He's likely out. And then I wouldn't be surprised if he misses another 2 weeks or so. Ruggs, practice limited. This week is going to be key for him. The next couple practices to see if he's able to get out there. But he's trending up.
As a Canadian, I
love this guy. As a Canadian, he has all the information at hand.
He's perfect. Yeah. This is why we love having him here. I always get a kick out when I hear someone else who's non-Canadian say a boot, but he was actually talking about a boot. When I say a boot, it's about and boot, and you know what I mean? It gets confusing there. So when he said, he actually meant a boot.
On the foot.
Okay?
Yeah, a boot.
On his foot.
Canadian accent throws everybody off.
Oh, like, an actual boot. Oh,
yeah.
All right. So listen, I know you're a homer, and so I'm going to apologize for this ahead of time, but if you're not starting your running back one against the Raiders, you have no idea how to play fantasy football. They are fucking giving up points like you read about. They made Devin Singletary look like an actual running back. They made Sony Michel and Rex Burkhead look like the second coming of fucking studs. They made Christian McCaffrey look like the all-pro that he is. And this is CEH week. They're going to run all over the Raiders. Everyone's going to be looking at those pass catchers, but CEH is the play this week without question. 20 plus points very easily. That's the matchup that I'm looking to exploit. Overall, I think that there's points to be had. It's going to be a nice fantasy boon. But for me, CEH is the smash play of anybody in this game.
Yeah, you're not wrong
on that. Is there
on
anyone who has CEH who's not starting him?
Not that maybe they're not starting them, but I'm looking for legitimately like going back to week 1 where he was a running back 3. I'm looking for, when I say smash play, I'm not looking for not start him. I'm looking for DFS if you're going to spend some cash. He's a guy I'm slamming into every single lineup as potentially the running back 1 for this week.
Yeah, just a quick breakdown here. Every week so far this year, the Raiders have faced McCaffrey over 10 points, Kamara over 10 points, Sony Michel actually went over 10 points, and Devin Singletary went over 10 points. So
did Burkhead in that Sony Michel matchup as well. Burkhead went crazy. So they gave up 2 double-digit points that week.
I really like Patrick Mahomes in this matchup.
Well, way to step out on that one there, Chase. Way to step out.
Just saying. I really
you still got that ice cream close by to cool off that hot take.
Hot take.
Calvin, give me something steamy.
So look, it might be crazy, but like it doesn't feel like it should be crazy that McCole Hardman should be out snapping Demarcus Robinson. That's only happened a couple times. It needs to happen more. And really, he needs to be out snapping Sammy Watkins too. I don't understand exactly what is happening with that wide receiver. Like team never Sammy. I was not really on that last year, but Dingus converted me. He's getting too many targets. I don't understand why we're throwing to him 7 or 8 times a game. Those need to go to McCole Hardman. He makes plays happen every single time that he touches the ball, and he needs to get on the field more. He's only getting like 35, 40% of snaps. It needs to be more. And look, speaking of people needing slump busters, Josh Jacobs has had 3 bad weeks in a row, and Josh Jacobs needs to have a good one in this one. I do think they try to keep the ball on the ground. The Chiefs have been really good against the pass this year, and I think they try to control the game and run the ball.
I think I like your hot take more than mine. I mean, I still like my take overall better, but I think your take is a little bit hotter, and I like that.
Anytime you can throw the word slump buster in there, it's going to be a good take. But outside of week 1, where Jacobs had 3 touchdowns, he's done very little. He's still in the top 5 in rushing yards, I think, in the league. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but outside of those 3 touchdowns in week 1, he's been, honestly, you could probably argue, because I took him in the first round in a draft, you could argue he could be one of the bigger busts so far from the first round if you did take him that area. Or you took Miles Sanders, which is even worse.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that at all.
What do you got for us, Jeff, for this matchup?
Yeah, I talked about the Raiders a little bit. The Chiefs, more on Josh Jacobs. They should have Chris Jones back, and then actually, I think he was the main defensive lineman that they were missing last game. I guess he could have played, but there was talk that they rested him so he could be 100% since they were playing Hoyer last week. But aside from that, there's no other. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Jacob, Chris Jones is a huge addition back to that lineup. He's arguably the best defensive tackle in the league. He's right up there with DeForest Buckner and anyone else you want to put in that category. But going back to your take here on even Calvin's here on slump busters. David Johnson balled out. Joshua Kelly balled out. Austin Eckler performed well against the Chiefs. They had 3 good weeks, and even Damian Harris and James White, they had solid performances against the Chiefs too. So this team can be run on. And this is from a team, we talk about New England, you had James White and Damian Harris were both under the 10-point mark, but that's with Brian Hoyer as quarterback too. And yeah, you put a quarterback, a little bit upgrade on Hoyer, and I think Josh Jacobs has that in Derek Carr, and you will see him get a few more touches, a few more yards. So we'll see how that breaks out going forward.
How'd you mention defensive tackles without saying Aaron Darnold? Like that's
Aaron Donald. He's on a different platform altogether. You could say, you know what? He might even be the best safety in the league. That's how good Aaron Donald.
He really is that good. He really is that good.
He is, in my opinion, he is the most valuable player to his team of anyone. I think he's even more valuable than Patrick Mahomes is to his team. You take Aaron Donald out of the Rams, and that defense is completely different. Now, Mahomes is different too if you take him out of the Chiefs, but
they can still win.
Yeah.
They got Andy Reid. You're 100% right. The MVP of the year and of all football teams as a whole is Aaron Donald.
And it's funny that we bring that up because he gets a shot at the Kyle Allen-led Washington Football Club next week as the Rams versus the Washington football team. Chase, you lead us off on this one. After you take yourself off mute, that'd be fantastic.
I added myself. Wait, are we? Damn it! Who was muting me? Because I took myself off mute and then I got put back on mute. And yeah, so anyways, the Washington football team is in a terrible place. They're in a terrible place. The whole team, is just imploding itself. But the good news is that Kyle Allen still targeted DJ Moore a ton last year. with the Cardinals. He had over 1,000 yards receiving. I think it was 1,034 with 4 touchdowns in 13 games. Meanwhile, he dumped it off to the running back position over 100 times last year as well, which means Antonio Gibson is still playing. He's still playable. I like it. Outside, I don't want to play Colin, but I still like Antonio Gibson. I still like, to an extent, DJ or Tim McLaurin. I mean, I think that the biggest takeaway is that Antonio Gibson is going to be a thing. And I cannot wait until he becomes a top 5 running back next year in 2021.
Chase, what do you got? Or Chase, Calvin, what do you got?
Yeah, I like that take. I actually really do like Terry McLaurin rest of the season. I don't know in this matchup. I assume he's going to draw Jalen Ramsey here, so that could be it could be problematic for him. He should get target share though. I love the Gibson call. I think this is a Tyler Higbee week. We've talked about that a few times. I think Tyler Higbee is the kind of guy that when they have a matchup where the other team is really good or really bad against the tight end, I think the Rams are perfectly fine changing their philosophy, going tight end heavy, and Jared Goff actually produces pretty well in those matchups, just like they did back with the Eagles a couple weeks ago. So I kind of like that. Now, I'm avoiding the Rams backfield almost completely this week. Henderson, Brown, it's been back and forth. Now Akers is getting thrown back in the mix. I like Akers a lot, but I don't know. I don't trust any of them at all this week. And with Dingus is back. There you
go. What do you got, Mike?
Right,
what are you looking for in this matchup?
So my big thing is I get nervous about the Gibson call, and I love Antonio Gibson, but I think using stats that include Christian McCaffrey and applying them to any running back is dangerous. I think that when you look at Gibson overall, I think that he's a hell of a player. I think he's a year to a year and a half out, still not finding the holes the way that he should. I am actually going to go ahead and roll the dice going against Calvin, and I'm going to play Henderson in this game. I missed the call last week on him. I think he's going to bounce back this week. This is a big Darrell Henderson game. I think that this is a game where they don't have to rely on putting up points. I think Washington's going to just flat out shit the bed. I don't see them scoring more than 11 points in this game maximum. I just think they're going to be hot garbage.
I think we need a bet.
No, we can do a bet all you want. Which one you want?
I don't know. Let's hear from the group chat. What bet should we put out? I'm okay with the mustache, so please don't put that out. Like Troy hates a mustache, but I think we need to make a mustache, or we need to make a mustache. We need to make a bet on this live stream.
I look sexy in any facial hair, just so we know. It's the face. It's not the hair that makes me look good. It's the face.
It's Henderson over Antonio Gibson or Gibson over Henderson. I got Gibson.
Oh, you want to go Gibson over Henderson? I'm sorry. I'm trying to actually step out here. Pat Mahomes pick. No, Gibson over Henderson. That's
what you were saying.
No, what I'm saying is that Darrell Henderson's going to outperform consensus. Not just going to outperform Gibson.
Okay.
You're getting both. No, we can do that pick. If you take Van Jefferson over Terry McLaurin while we're being assholes on the live stream, we can do that too. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that Henderson is the guy that I'm looking at to outperform the projections at this point.
And I'm not coming back. No, I'm just kidding.
You can if you want to. I'm just saying that I think realistically this is going to be a ground and pound game for the Rams. I don't think there's really much to worry about from the Washington football team on the offensive side. I think you're looking at 2 weeks out before any of these guys put up any points. I don't see them doing much but kicking field goals this week against this Rams defense. So overall, I am avoiding the matchup as anything that's going to be a high-end play this week.
So you think Henderson is going to do more than just, field goals?
I think Henderson is going to be 50 yards and maybe a touchdown if they're getting close. Yeah. And I just don't think Washington puts up shit this week.
So let's make a bet. on this podcast with Dynasty Vipers right now. Come on.
All right, what do you got? No, let's do it. Let's do an over under on Henderson because I'm not giving you Henderson against Gibson. You know damn right well that's not a smart bet.
Let's go on over under. Matt, let's do an over under on Gibson. Where do you put it? Or Calvin, either one.
Over under on Gibson against the Rams. Let me just take a look at some of these previous matchups for Gibson here to kind of give you an idea of where he is. So you guys going total yards or rushing yards in this matchup?
Give me PPR points. I'm thinking, 10?
So right now, Gibson's best week actually came against the Ravens, where he had what do you say, 24 points?
Good.
I think he's about 18. He had about 46 yards rushing with a touchdown, but he had 4 catches for 82 yards in the receiving game. So I would set that over under for the Rams, considering everything. 18. Let's go 17 PPR points.
I'm going to go 16.
Yeah, I was going to say 17 without the touchdown. That's where you would be.
You're still trying to shave that 16, aren't you, Chase?
Well, 16 was where I was sitting at, but I'll go 17. Fuck it.
I'll take the under.
We'll set the over. We'll set the over under at 16.5.
I'll take the under.
Obviously, I'll take the over. What's the bet? What do you guys have as the bet? I'm not going to obviously, do anything crazy. Like, we already have crazy bets set up. But what are you guys thinking? Should we come back to it?
We come back to that here. I just want to get Jeff's opinion. You guys think about this for a little bit. Jeff, what are you looking for in this matchup?
I mean, honestly, Washington, the big question mark, how does Kyle Allen do? Is he really going to do better than Dwayne Haskins? Haskins was horrendous. So I would think so. Either this game or long term, what I really want to see is how Alex Smith does. Come back at the year. But for this week, I do think Terry McLaurin's going to go off. They're going to run him in slants like they've been doing, ins, crossers. Kyle Allen will just get him the ball. I would do the over on Gibson because, with Kyle Allen in there, get the ball into your playmaker's hands.
Yes.
Steven Sims is going to be out. Rely on McLaurin and Gibson.
That is something sorry. This.
And for me, my match.
On the Rams side, though, I'm not playing Henderson at all. McVay loves Malcolm Brown, and then Cam Akers is the perfect week to get him working in.
And just got to touch on this. The thing I'm watching is that Jalen Ramsey versus Terry McLaurin matchup. I will never bench McLaurin again. I took him out of my lineup last week for David Johnson against that Baltimore defense and Marlon Humphrey. And I was like, you know what? This is a bad matchup for him. I'm back. McLaurin's matchup proof. He's like DeAndre Hopkins. He's quarterback proof too.
Yeah.
So I'm watching that McLaurin. I'm watching that Ramsey matchup, and I'm going to watch McLaurin embarrass Ramsey for this week. That's what I'm watching for in this matchup. Panthers fell.
Who's McLaurin remind you of? Anybody? Like, does he remind you of anybody? McLaurin, that is. Because I can't find a comp. I'm trying to find comps, and I can't find a comp.
So I don't know about for his size, skill kind of matchup, but for a receiver who was underappreciated, who was surprisingly better than people gave him credit for, I'm going to go with a former Green Bay Packer wide receiver, and I'm going to go with Sterling Sharp as my comp for Terry McLaurin here. Everyone forgets how dominant Sterling Sharp could be at times. And everyone forgets how good he was. And I think with Terry McLaurin, that's another guy we forget how good he actually is and what he can actually do on the football field. Now, we forget about Sharp because of the injuries and stuff that derailed his career and cut it short. But when you look at the two, anytime these two guys can take over a game, but you don't mention them with the elite receivers into the game, even Sharp at his time and McLaurin right now.
Give me a guy who's still playing.
Yeah, you're so old.
Yeah, give me a guy who people might have heard of. No, I love Sterling Sharp. Don't get me wrong. But I'm gonna go ahead and tag him as Keenan Allen. as that guy who's not necessarily as athletic as you'd expect, runs the precise routes, gonna grab those targets, make the most of them, but never again, Matt, to your point, not get the recognition that he deserves. I'm going to go with the more contemporary Keenan Allen type, who is maybe not the most athletic. Part of me wanted to go like in the AB comparison, but I don't see him quite there. So I think Allen's the type of guy I'd kind of settle on for McLaurin right now.
He's actually, if you look at Matt Harmon's work, he's pretty dang close in beating press and beating coverage. I mean, you look at AB's comparison and then OBJ's and McLaurin. Like for this year, his lowest PPR total, 11.1 points, and he's faced off against Darius Slay, Patrick Peterson, Terrence Mitchell, and then Marcus Peters. I'm not really worried about Jalen Ramsey.
No, I'm not. To me, McLaurin's matchup proof. He proved it. I'm done. I'm done doubting him. There won't be no doubt. He's in my lineup no matter what, no matter the matchup, no matter the quarterback. Panthers, Falcons. Calvin, we haven't gone to you to start here for a while. What do you got?
So I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, and so I'm in. My Facebook page has a lot of New Orleans Saints fans on it, and I just have to share this. So I opened up on Monday, and it was like, okay, we're entering the fourth quarter of 2020. I'm going to be optimistic and hope that we're playing the Falcons. Therefore, it's going to be a really good closer this year. So the Falcons are really bad. I really like what Carolina is doing. We talked about this a little bit over the offseason. Carolina was the only team in the entire NFL that turned over their head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback. They were going to take a little bit of time to get things going. And last week against the Cardinals, you started to see the fruits of them really working hard to incorporate what they wanted to incorporate. Robbie Anderson was really involved, obviously. He's kind of become the consensus, hey, he's the main guy for Teddy Bridgewater, but DJ Moore has been no slouch himself. And actually in this matchup against the Falcons, I think you are starting every single person that you can possibly find from the Panthers. The Falcons have allowed 4 touchdowns to quarterbacks in all 4 weeks this season, all 4. So start your Panthers, start Teddy Bridgewater, start Curtis Samuel. Who knows? He may show up again this week. You're starting everybody from Carolina.
I'm never starting Curtis Samuel again. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. It's like that guy. It's like Curtis Samuel is like you, and your neighbor is like this really good-looking girl, and she'll let you walk her to school. She'll let you do this, but that's as close as you're going to get. Curtis Samuel is never going to get you nothing, okay? It ain't happening. Curtis Samuel is not happening. Chase knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's not happening.
Wait, what?
Chase loves Curtis Samuel.
I think we've been teased too long with Curtis Samuel. Every year we try and make Curtis Samuel happen. Chase, you put yourself on mute. It wasn't even me. My hands are right here. Spear fingers.
No, it was me. You're going to let a girl that you know walk her to school, and you're 46, but then you're like, it's not going to happen. And I'm just so confused right now.
You're not following along very well here. I'm talking about like back in high school, not 46. Where'd you get 46 from? I'm not even 46 yet. Like I know I've got ass hair older than you, but I'm not 46. Okay. Jeff, what are you looking for in this matchup?
I'm looking for DJ Moore to finally make his managers happy.
I think we're all looking for DJ.
Well, I know
Moore.
he had the week 2 game. Yeah. I'm looking for Calvin Ridley's practice status because he put up a goose egg last week and then he popped up with a thigh and knee injury, I believe. And then Julio Jones is going to be out. So Hayden Hurst maybe increasing in volume. Those are the main things I'm looking for.
Mike, what do you got?
Give me some Mike Davis. Give me Mike Davis in this one. No one ever feels good about it. I will use an analogy from high school, Matt, to make you feel better.
Oh my God, don't do it. Don't do it.
I know we talked about this earlier, but when you were sitting there at 1 a.m. in a bar and looking at your hand and looking at the 5, you just go home with the 5, so you don't have to put in the effort. Mike Davis is that 5 who will get you off, and you'll feel pretty good about it. Walk her out before your friends see or roommates see, get her out of the house, but you will score with Mike Davis this week.
Just to be clear, that was while you were in high school?
I actually was jerking off till I was like 24. But yeah, after I figured out that there was girls that would let me take them home, Mike Davis was the best I could get. Yes.
Oh my God, I love it. No, you're right. You're right, Matt. I mean,
you act like you didn't wake up next to a Mike Davis. Go ahead, admit it.
I actually woke up to Mike Davis himself one time. No,
Mike Davis is a slump buster. Okay, Mike Davis is a slump buster. If you were decimated by injuries and Mike Davis was on the waivers and you were lucky to get him, I'm sure he's helped you tremendously going forward. Now, the thing I'm looking for is how long the Carolina Panthers can continue winning without Christian McCaffrey. After this week, they're going to be 3-0 without Christian McCaffrey in their lineup. 3-0. What's that say about Christian McCaffrey in the running back position?
Running backs don't matter.
All you need is a 5, right? And you can get through. Jeff, what do you got? Jeff, I'm going to go to you here. Jeff, what do you got for the Bengals-Ravens matchup?
Big question mark is Lamar Jackson's knee. He didn't finish the game. He left with 4 minutes and 24 seconds left, but they were also up by 21 points. So there was the question mark. Did he injure his knee? Did he not? So that's what I'm looking for in the injury reports this week.
And then he didn't practice today either, I believe, right?
He was limited.
Okay.
How are you not sharing these Linda posts?
I already did. I already put the one I'm built like Aaron Donald up.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry. I'm built like Aaron Donald, a female. Oh my God.
I'm not playing Marquise Brown this week. Some people will probably say, what? But injured knee. Bengals have actually been kind of tough on wide receivers. I believe I'd have to see the actual numbers, but I'm not playing them this week. 2 boom or bust.
I like this matchup because there's certain things in my repertoire that I absolutely refuse to put into my starting lineup. 1 is never Sammy Watkins. 2 is never John Ross. 3 is never Marquise Brown. These things are not happening. 4 is Curtis Samuel. They're not going into my lineup, no matter what. Not happening. Actually, I just added number 4 right now. He was never on there before until this moment. But Brown, Ross, and Sammy Watkins, as Calvin can attest, are always on my shit list, so to speak, and they'll never be in my lineup. Thing I'm looking for is this matchup, Ravens-Bengals. I guarantee you, Mixon ain't going to hit that 3-touchdown mark again against the Ravens defense. So let's pump the brakes here on the Mixon train. Joe Mixon got a really good game last week. Got a lot of people hyped up. I think that's going to come back to earth, and we're going to see weeks 1, 2, 3 Mixon rather than week 4 Mixon here. Calvin, you're the resident Bengals snap guy. What do you got for us? After you unmute yourself.
So I don't know. So Joe Mixon's not going to have 3 touchdowns, but the Ravens have actually given up a decent amount to running backs through the air, which I think does bode well for Joe Mixon. And one of the things I'm going to be watching for is, are the Ravens actually good against quarterbacks? I mean, we know intuitively that the Baltimore Ravens have a good defense, but so far they've held down Baker, who didn't throw very many passes against them, Dwayne Haskins, and Deshaun Watson, who, that he's looked like a mess all year. Pat Mahomes was really good against them. So I don't know. I think this is a week where we're going to find out a lot more about the Baltimore Ravens. I think Joe Burrow, if I had to place money on somebody, Joe Burrow looks like a legit great. Notice my LSU Tigers. I'm slowly but surely adding some stuff behind here. LSU Tigers. Joe Burrow, I think he's going to find some success against this defense. And let me just add one more thing, and I think Chase is now officially on board with this. in redraft, there's no reason to keep J.K. Dobbins on your roster. He is getting almost no touches, 7, 3, 5, and 6. He is not a guy that you want. In fact, drop him for the real leader in that backfield, Dingus's guy, Gus Edwards.
Who leads the team in yards per carry behind Lamar Jackson? Chase, what do you got for us?
I agree with that.
I honestly don't want to own any one of those guys, at this point. Like, we don't know what's going on. I think J.K. Dobbins actually led the team in touches either last week or the week before that. But yeah, guys, unfortunately, I just got a phone call from my mom, so I got to go. My mom doesn't call me at 12 o'clock at night for no reason. So, yeah. Love you guys. Love the show. I listen to every single episode. This episode, this show is amazing. Thank you guys for
thank you, Chase, because I don't even listen to every episode. So thank you.
Hope everything's all right. Thanks, Chase.
I'm sure everything's fine. It's just random. Goodbye, guys.
All right, so we're gonna keep on moving along here. We talk Ravens, we talk Bengals.
I actually have to. Can I add one thing? I have to leave after this. But Calvin, do you think Burrow hits 300 again? 4th game in a row.
It's hard to bet that that's going to happen against the Ravens. Obviously, I mean, I know that they're going. I mean,
Dwayne Haskins did
on game script, right? Because if they get down and they get down early, he's going to throw, and he'll be dumping it off to Joe Mixon. He'll be dumping it off to I don't expect them to win the game, obviously, but if he gets 45, 50 pass attempts, then yeah, I think 300 is likely.
Well, let's put it this way. A quick perspective. Dwayne Haskins threw for over 300 yards against the same Ravens team. Going back to Joe Burrow, remember the Chargers game, 60-plus passes. I think 300 yards is definitely within Burrow's capabilities here, especially the way I see the game script going. So, unfortunately, as much as I hate Joe Burrow, I think he's overrated. I think 300 is easily within his range in this matchup.
Okay. I got to go. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Guys, make sure you check out Jeff there and his stuff that he puts on some threads there on the Twitter. Jeff Mueller, PT, on Twitter. Check that out. He's got some good threads, injury threads. He does some work over at DynastyVipers.com where he puts out he did a big, major, before the season or week 1 article on the injuries that are going on. Check out Daddy's Home FF there. Him and Chase do Fantasy Football Intervention show together that come on right before our show typically. And then, of course, FF_intervention there, Chase Vernon. You want to make sure you're following him just to see him get his chest wax here in the future, if nothing else. Great minds, each and every one of them in their own right. Always packed with information. Love all of them. So I'm glad they were able to join us here. But now it's time for us to get into the rapid fire portion of our show. And we're going to head over to Houston for the next matchup between the Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Calvin, hit us with something.
Well, so early on, I had some concerns about the Jacksonville Jaguars offense being a little bit too conservative, but I'm completely over that now. They're not conservative. My worry is they spread the ball around a lot, and I don't understand why Chris Conley is still part of this offense. He definitely needs to go. I really like what Chark is doing. I like what Cole is doing. There's a lot of really positive things. Obviously, James Robinson, but there's just a lot of mouths to feed. And Gardner Minshew, to his credit, is doing a really good job of spreading that around. And they're going to open it up. They're going to do a lot of good things with that. Then, obviously, on the other side, I'll flip it over since we don't have a 5-person panel now, and I'll talk a little bit about the Texans. I'm really curious to see what this Texans offense looks like without Bill O'Brien. There were some really interesting comments from, do they run the ball? Is that is that something that he, over this past offseason, had handed the play calling duties over to his offensive coordinator, whose name escapes me right now. I don't remember, but Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly is his offensive coordinator. He had handed it over to him, but literally this past week, he said I'm taking it back. I'm now going to be involved in the play calling. So does Tim Kelly actually get a shot now under Romeo Crennel to to control that offense and actually be the play caller. And it'd be really interesting to see. He's got some backgrounds with tight ends. Maybe Jordan Akins plays a little bit of a role. Something to pay attention to, too. Brandon Cooks may have been a little bit vocal after the game about not catching a pass. And I only say that because Deshaun Watson had some really weird comments about him doing his job and making his reads. And he didn't specifically call Brandon Cooks, and call him out or throw him under the bus or anything like that. But it was just a weird comment. You got to go read it. And I wonder if there's a little bit of beef there. I guess we'll find out this week.
Well, and you touched on Houston here, so I'm going to touch on the flip side here. I'm going to touch on the Jaguars. I love me some James Robinson. I'm going to get on board with James Robinson. He's going to absolutely tear a new one into the Houston Texans here, and I'm here all for it. But I can't wait until Gardner Minshew gets off that plane, and he's got 4 buttons undone on his shirt, and he's busted out the chest hair, and his sleeves are cut off. He's walking off the plane in a pair of jorts and a cowboy hat. Because the real Walker Texas Ranger is coming to Houston this week, and he is going to light things up both on the ground and in the air. DJ Chark is back. This is a completely different offense with DJ Chark's in the lineup. We saw what happened when you have to rely on Chris Conley to make catches, which is not a good thing. Houston, you're going to be in Houston. We might have a problem here. I'm a big Houston fan, but this is your bounce back week. This is what's the term we're using? I already forgot it.
Slump busters.
This is your slump buster opportunity here. This is the easiest game on paper you've had all season. If you're going to bust your slump, this is the matchup to do it. So if Houston can't get that slump busted with an interim coach who's going to want to run the ball that we know players love, because Romeo Crennel comes down with players love Romeo Crennel. They always have. They'll play for him. This will be a different Houston team, I think, than we've seen in the past, but we'll see what happens here. I like the Jaguars offense gets rolling here as well. So this could be this could be almost an offensive shootout, which I'm looking forward to. A little Corral action. I agree. Dolphins 49ers. We got the Dolphins traveling from Miami to the West Coast to San Francisco here. A couple things to keep in mind here. I don't think it's a big deal. I think half of California is still burning or is already burnt down. How that's going to affect the air quality, that's always going to be a concern there. I don't think it's as bad as what it's been in the past weeks, but definitely something to keep an eye on going forward here. Lots of talk of Tua possibly coming up, but I don't think even Tua's taking any contact in practices. I don't think he's been tackled yet in practices, so I don't know if we've got the full extent of how that hip is. I'm all for rolling with Ryan Fitzpatrick here. I love me some Ryan Fitzmagic. He's my favorite quarterback to watch behind maybe Gardner Minshew, just how much fun he has out there. The 49ers can be taken advantage of right now because they are injuries. Sherman's still down. Mosley's out. Nick Bosa on their end is out. They've got some injuries there as well. And I don't think Garoppolo is going to play this week. So I think it's going to be CJ Beathard probably this week because we've seen what happened with Mullins last week. This is a big game for San Francisco. Another loss here in that NFC West could really get them behind the 8 ball, and even in that wild card race too, with another loss. What do you got? You're on mute.
Oh gosh. One of the things that jumped out to me is Isaiah Ford is definitely running as the number 2 wide receiver in Miami. His snap count's been there and his target share's been there. Preston Williams, he's got 6 catches on 17 targets this season. That is #not good. And I don't know that it's worth continuing to roster Preston Williams at this point. He has not been he's not been good enough, unfortunately. So I do think it's time to start the Tua watch. I hear what you're saying. Maybe he's not healthy enough. And I think we'll know for sure if he doesn't, because next week starts a run of some better matchups. I don't think they would throw him in against San Francisco, but next week does start a run of some better matchups with Denver and the Chargers and the Rams and Cardinals and the Jets. I think that's a little bit better. That's as good a stretch as they're going to get all season if they wanted him to come in and get a chance at a ramp up. On the 49er side, I just had this thought. Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back. He's got Deebo Samuel there now. He's got Brandon Ayuk, obviously Kittle. Maybe Raheem Mostert is back. You got Jared McKinnon. Is this the best set of weapons that Jimmy Garoppolo has ever had? I mean, he's got Shanahan as his OC. There's some really good weapons around him now. There's a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo becomes a little bit more than we were hoping if he can stay healthy.
I think he's definitely above average quarterback with these weapons, a 20-point per week kind of guy. I don't know if he's going to have that huge ceiling, but I think his floor definitely increases when you talk about these type of weapons. Just kind of touching base a little bit further here on the Tua thing. I don't think we see Tua. I don't think we should see him this year. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, I say you just kind of redshirt him this year. You let Ryan Fitzpatrick run. But I think if we see Tua come in, I think the Jets matchup is the one you want to see. They've got the Jets. They got a bye week. They got the Jets again. That's where I think you see Tua come in. Then he gets the Jets, a nice little warm-up game. Then he gets a week to kind of look at the film. And then he gets the Jets again to see. So he gets the same team twice in a row. I think if I was Miami and I was considering Tua, that's the matchup I'm looking at bringing him into.
Interesting.
Now, I'm probably completely wrong because I'd rather go with Fitzpatrick and ride him out for the year just to make sure, just for my investment, right?
Right.
Besides, they've also got Houston's first and second round pick in their back pocket. So they're just playing with house money at this point. Another matchup we talked about earlier, I can't remember if it was on our show or if it was on FF Intervention here, the Broncos-Patriots. Much like the Bills-Titans, is this a game that actually gets played this week? Because we've had Cam Newton go with COVID. Now Stephen Gilmore with COVID. We've seen the interactions. We've seen how this is going. Obviously, this game's the NFL is definitely watching this game. Maybe not as closely as they're watching the shenanigans going on in Tennessee. But the Broncos-Patriots, what are you looking for?
So this is a really interesting matchup to me. I'm just incredibly fascinated by watching what takes place, and I can't wait till the game's over and just be able to see what happened in it, because I've had this theory for a long time. Anytime a backup quarterback comes in and plays, they tend to favor someone that they have been working with, and a lot of times it's a receiver that comes out of nowhere that may have been a third string, fourth string guy, but they've been seeing they've been seeing him in practice. They know him. So Tim Patrick worked a lot with Rippon, and you saw the connection there. They had a clear chemistry, and some of that's a trust factor, right? So what is interesting is over time that tends to level out. So now that he's getting a little bit more work, a little bit more comfortable with where Jerry Jeudy is going to be, Hamler kind of can't catch a break. I wish, he would play. I hate to see Noah Fant out, but, I think it's going to be interesting both on their side and on the Patriots side. If Jarrett Stidham ends up getting another start here, he seemed to favor what's the wide receiver's name? My mind just went blank.
Tim Patrick? Were you talking about the Broncos again?
On the New England side, man.
Harry, Bird, yeah. Edelman.
He seemed to favor Harry. I'd be really curious to see if that kind of continues. And obviously, he got a lot of work with the ones over the offseason. That's why, that connection there. Does that continue with Harry being a consistent, reliable option? He got a lot of red zone targets. I think realistically, they're going to keep the ball on the ground. And Damian Harris, who looked really good last week, he could end up being the guy that ends up doing the best out of anybody. And I definitely, there's a lot to like about Damian Harris, and I may have been wrong when I discounted what he could do this year.
Really? Well, I'm going to be interested to see how this quarterback position moves without Cam Newton. Hoyer started, Stedham came in. They're saying, I'm not too sure who's starting this game yet. I don't know if it's been announced yet.
I haven't seen it
yet. So that's going to be interesting. The thing I'm watching is, much like I am now in Oakland with Hurst and how his test affects that team. We saw Newton. We saw Gilmore. Are we going to get more positive tests before kickoff when it comes down to the Patriots? And where is that going to play into account? Because now you've lost your team's MVP in Cam Newton last week. You lost the league's defensive MVP last year in Stephon Gilmore. The loss of Gilmore changes that defense drastically. You can no longer put Gilmore on the second best receiver and then put your second corner and bracket him with a safety on the other. That's what the Patriots have done for years to negate top options. So what are they going to do? Then again, who are the options going to be in Denver? Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, probably not quite 100%. Melvin Gordon in the run game. Philip Lindsay is the man to watch. He's what I'm watching. I'm not a big Bronco fan until I heard Philip Lindsay, when they signed Melvin Gordon, go, he ain't taking shit from me, referring to his position and his touches. I'm a big Lindsay believer, and I think he's going to come out. I really think that this backfield was designed to be similar to what Melvin Gordon had in Los Angeles with the Chargers, where Eckler and Gordon could both thrive without affecting each other's touches, so to speak. So Philip Lindsay coming back hopefully this week. It looks like he's going to be back. That's what I'm looking forward to in this matchup going forward. And, of course, that COVID thing is going to be something that we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the week here. Colts, Browns, what do you got?
So the Colts are just desperate for wide receiver options right now, and Zach Pascal might be the best option for them. But I think he's potentially a sneaky play this week. Mo Alley Cox, maybe. They sort of look at the tight ends. Maybe this is the week where they get the tight ends a little bit more involved on that side. The Browns, I almost think they should start challenging themselves and just start seeing, like, how many points can they score with Baker Mayfield throwing less than 100 yards? So they came close last week, right? So 49 points with Baker threw for 165 yards. Let's see if we can get to above 40 with Baker throwing less than 100. That'd be the new challenge, and I think they could pull it off. So there you go.
How many touches does Kareem Hunt get? That's what I want to know right now. We saw Dearness Johnson get involved in the offense last week. We know Kareem Hunt can be a bell cow back. We know this for a fact. Arguably, one could argue that Kareem Hunt is more talented than Nick Chubb. You know, I could see both arguments on this side. So having both backs in your backfield was a bonus. But now there's no Nick Chubb. Dearness Johnson is no Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is Kareem Hunt. Ride him. You got him on a 1-year contract. You ride him. You got him as insurance. You kept him as insurance. Now it's time to cash that insurance check and let him go. You're playing against the team, the Colts. They're okay. They're defensively, they're good. They're better against the pass than they are the run. We know Baker Mayfield can't pass, so I wouldn't expect those numbers to go crazy. But what Kareem Hunt's role is without Nick Chubb in the lineup, and if Dearness Johnson can cut into that, is what I'm looking for in this week's matchup.
No, I think I think the question is, how does this look like? Does Kareem Hunt step into what Dalvin Cook had last year when Stefanski was there as the offensive coordinator calling plays, and he had one guy, right? So he comes over to Cleveland and he's incorporating both of his guys. And I almost think my gut says he had a game plan drawn up, and when Chubb went down, he just stuck Dearness Johnson into the role that he had drawn up and the game plan that he had for Nick Chubb. That's why a lot of times I don't necessarily read into what happens when a central part of a team gets hurt, because it doesn't necessarily tend to be predictive for what's going to happen the following week. And Nick Chubb, obviously a very essential part of what the Browns were doing. I think Dearness Johnson, and they look good. Look, he averaged like over 7 yards a carry last week. But I do think when Stefanski's sitting down trying to figure out how he's going to beat the Colts, I don't think he's thinking about Dearness Johnson. I think he's thinking about Kareem Hunt.
And I think secretly, deep down inside, Stefanski's wanted Kareem Hunt and Kareem Hunt to be the man and the man only. Because you said he's your closest comparison to Dalvin Cook. If you're comparing Chubb and Hunt in the same sentence, he's your closest to Dalvin Cook as far as ability to do everything. Chubb can catch the ball, but he's not Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt can run the ball. He's not quite as powerful between the tackles as Chubb, but he does his fair share. I think he's a better all-around back, and that's what Stefanski wants. Speaking of all-around backs, we're heading to the Cowboys and the Giants. We know Ezekiel Elliott is going to eat in this game against the Giants. It's just a matter of time. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for at some point Jason Garrett's offense to look like an NFL offense. It has not looked like one so far. There's just no sugarcoating that the New York Giants look worse today than they did last year. Daniel Jones looks worse than he did now that Jason Garrett is his offensive coordinator. There has been no positive takeaways at all. There's nothing to hang your hat on. Jason Garrett has been bad for this team. I honestly don't know how long he can remain the offensive coordinator. He hasn't called plays since 2012. I don't know why that didn't jump out at me when I was researching that over the offseason. Obviously, that's bad. It's been 8 years. So, look, can he pull it together? Can he figure out a way to incorporate things? I know he lost Saquon Barkley, but the Panthers lost Christian McCaffrey and stuck Mike Davis in and looked exactly the same. There's no reason to think that the Giants couldn't do something similar. And I'm going to just watch to see, is there anything against this Dallas defense that has been porous and has given up a lot to a lot of teams? Can the Giants look like a functioning NFL offense? And honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to expect because Daniel Jones looks worse today than he did a year ago, and I don't get it.
I got two things on here, and they both tie into each other. One, I believe that if there's any person in the world more petty than I am, it's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones let Jason Garrett go finally. And I think if anyone wants to show Jason Garrett that we're a better team than we were with you, it's Jerry Jones. It's just in his nature. You know what I mean? And two, I think much like I called Nick Chubb a few weeks back for an overcorrection on the lack of use, and then he went off and went bananas, I think Ezekiel Elliott is going to get that same treatment this week. I think you're going to see a heavy, heavy dose of Ezekiel Elliott here. I think they're going to run him until he can't run no more. He's going to show off that nice little tat on his belly, right next to his belly ring, says, "Feed me." And he's going to show everybody, he's like, "Ooh, look at me go." You're going to see him get – I wouldn't be shocked if he runs for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns this week just because of that huge overcorrection. He had like 50 – I don't know. I think he barely had 50 yards last week rushing. I think a huge overcorrection is coming this week.
Yeah, I like it. And at some point, Dak cannot continue the pace that he's on in terms of pass attempts, right? I mean, like 39, 49, 57, 58 last week. Like that cannot continue to be the case. They've got to figure out how to get the ball into Ezekiel Elliott's hands. Like you said, even if it's just a matter of like, we got to get this guy working and continuing to be a central part of this offense. He wasn't last week. And you're right. I can definitely see them going in, deciding they're going to run this ball down the throat of the New York Giants.
And basically just say, you know what, Garrett? Up yours. And no, I didn't break up. My throat just got sore there. So my mic's still working. I just cracked my voice. Next matchup. This is the Sunday night football matchup. The Vikings versus the Seahawks. Now, we got a little something special associated with this matchup. So I'll go with you, Calvin. What do you got for the Vikings Seahawks?
Well, I'll just start by positively talking about my one of my favorite wide receivers from this past class, Justin Jefferson, who was really just fantastic for LSU last year, obviously, and he is showing that on the – I think he has the most receiving yards of any rookie wide receiver right now. If I'm getting my facts straight there, I need to double check that. But I know this. He's been a beast. He has caught 16 of his 20 targets, and a lot of them are contested. He was really good at that down here in Louisiana as well, too. He has been very good. But Justin Jefferson's big day, big performances has not led to the Vikings opening up their offense. I know this Seattle Seahawks defense on paper looks like they're a good matchup. But don't forget to go back and look at who they played. They played against Matt Ryan, who did really well against them. They played against Cam Newton, who was capital letters Cam Newton again. They played against Dak Prescott, who threw the ball 57 times against them. Then last week, right back down to earth, played against the Miami Dolphins, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, he threw for 300 yards because he threw the ball 47 times. That's not happening with Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has yet to throw the ball over 27 times in a single game, and that's with them being 1-3 and getting blown off the field multiple times. They still will not open up this offense. There's no way they do. There's no chance Kirk Cousins is a top 12 quarterback.
Welcome to the Makeup Challenge for week number 6. This is a week 5 bet that will be paid out on week 6. And yes, Kirk Cousins will be a top 10 quarterback this week. Now, I'm not saying they open this offense up, but I'm saying you look at what Kirk Cousins has done. You look at these matchups that have gone on. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is my focal point in this matchup. Yes, Fitzpatrick, if he could have got a couple touchdowns, they settled for field goals against this team. You put those couple touchdowns instead of field goals, and you're looking at Fitzpatrick as a top quarterback from last week. Legitimately, like I'm just going to try and pull up some numbers here. Player, top performer stats. Let's go quarterbacks. Let's go week 4. Where is Fitzpatrick on here? He's not as high as he should be. I know that for a fact. But, we got to go quarterbacks. I got all players here. I'm just pulling up some numbers here just to kind of try and defend myself somewhat. Where are you? Okay, Ryan Fitzpatrick finished approximately quarterback 17 last week without throwing for a touchdown. And throwing for 2 interceptions along the way. You don't think Kirk Cousins can throw for 300 plus yards and a couple touchdowns and get himself into top 12, top 10 position in a bye week in a week in which Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers are not playing? You, my friend, are going to be wearing your daughter's makeup next week. And I can't wait to see that purple blush, eyeshadow, whatever you want to call it, on your eyes in Viking purple, man. All I got to say is Skol, Kirk Cousins. I think he throws for 350. I think Jefferson goes over 125. I think Adam Thielen goes over 125 yards. I think Dalvin Cook adds in another 60 yards receiving somehow, some way. I know there's going to be 2, maybe 3 touchdowns against the Seahawks. Preston Williams, Devontae Parker are not Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. They're not. Heck, I think even Irv Smith catches a touchdown this week. That's how bold I'm going on this one. Kirk Cousins, easily top 12 quarterback. Book it.
How many times would the Vikings have to play the Seahawks for Kirk Cousins to throw the ball as many times as Ryan Fitzpatrick threw last week?
Probably twice. But that's not the point. The point is he's thrown for 25, 26, 27, 22. He's averaging between 16 and 19 completions per game. He's thrown for 259. Well, let's forget week 2 against the Colts because that was bad. That was a bad week. I'm going to take that one right out of there. But 259, 251, 260. He threw in week 3, even with only 16 completions on 250 yards, he threw for 3 touchdowns. That's enough to get you into top 10 quarterback rankings. So if I go back onto my little cheat sheet here I got going, and I'm just using one of my leagues here for a reference point, and who knows. I'm going to pull up here week 3, which was probably not the best week because you had Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes go absolutely off. But Kirk Cousins, with that performance of 250 yards, was the quarterback 12.
It's right there.
It's right there. I think we got ourselves a good bet. I do see this possibly going either way because the top 12 performance it's ballsy. It's ballsy here, but I think it's well within reach, and I'm booking it right now for the makeup challenge.
So are we saying top 10 or top 12?
Oh, we're going top 12. I'm taking all the points I can get here on this one.
All right.
But add in the fact that Aaron Rodgers was number 6 that week, that moves him up to number 11. Just
I like
saying.
I like it. Here's what I like the most about this bet. I like that this bet that my side does not rely on Kirk Cousins. I just like that I don't have to cheer for or think about or count on Kirk Cousins doing anything.
Actually, all you got to count for is Kirk Cousins to be Kirk Cousins.
That's exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not going to worry about that. Now, Monday Night Football. The bet is off to the side. We're relaxing. You're sweating. Your daughter's already picking out the makeup for you for next Wednesday. By the time we get to Monday Night Football, Chargers, Saints, what you got?
So there's a lot of love for Traquan Smith right now. I know he's a very popular, hey, you got to go get him. He's a waiver wire guy. And look, I think Traquan Smith could have a good role in this offense. And I think he's proven to be something that I'm not sure that I believed he had in him. I think if you've been playing fantasy football long enough, I think he is this season's version of Devery Henderson or Robert Meacham for the New Orleans Saints. I think he's the deep threat. I think he's the guy that they're going to take some deep shots with. The bad thing is they're going to take some deep shots with him with Drew Brees being 42 years old. And I don't expect him. Again, I should have said this is when Michael Thomas comes back. With Michael Thomas back, Michael Thomas takes on a role that is much more similar to what Marcus Colston used to give them. And then that leaves the guy that I'm actually excited about, and that's Emmanuel Sanders, who has finally started looking like he's clicking with Drew Brees. I think their games work well with each other. I think he can play the role that was the Lance Moore role, who was a little bit more of a reliable, he's going to get your targets. I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to have, but I think he is going to get a healthy dose of targets. He's going to be a third down guy. He can get open. And with these guys getting more on the same page, I really like to see that. Real quick on the Chargers side, a guy that just put on the back end of your roster, Jalen Guyton, he only got one target last week, and that obviously went for a 75-yard touchdown. He's a guy that I've kind of had my eye on for a little while because he's on the field a lot, but the targets haven't been there. I wonder if that big play kind of showed a little bit of something. And as they go through the game film, they start thinking a little bit more in those terms about how to give a deep threat option, a really good deep threat option to Justin Herbert. And if he can become that for him and get a little bit more involved in the passing game, start to get some targets, you're not starting him. Clearly don't put him in your lineup, but back into your roster, just pay attention because he is playing a lot and Justin Herbert looks good.
And I'm going to focus most of my attention on the Los Angeles Chargers here. First off, first thing I'm looking for is Tyrod Taylor's health. If Tyrod Taylor is healthy enough to get back to the starting lineup and the Anthony Lynn's dumb enough to put Tyrod Taylor into the starting lineup, I want nothing to do with any Chargers. I don't. Fair. Now, if Justin Herbert is the man who just was 10 yards shy of 300, which would have been his third straight 300-plus yard game to start his career. Talk about Joe Burrow. And by the way, if you purchase the IDP guys DFD magazine, I wrote earlier in that I had Justin Herbert ahead of Joe Burrow in my quarterback rankings. Just saying. Point two, I love the Chargers wide receivers. I love Keenan Allen and everything you do. I love a healthy Mike Williams. He's a game breaker. He's a game changer. He's a quarterback's best friend, the way he can extend and make plays on the ball. I love Jalen Guyton. I love how you talked about him. I love Joe Reed. I love KJ Hill. These are guys I absolutely love. Get them involved. But what I don't love is Austin Eckler not being in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks about Kelly. Kelly's still a rookie. You still need someone who's going to pick up the blitz. You're still going to need someone to cover. We know the Saints can come and throw some weird blitzes. We know they've still got Cameron Jordan, even though he's struggled this year and hasn't really got to the quarterback for the sack. He's got pressures, but he hasn't got that sack. We know they like to blitz DeMario Davis. So can Josh Kelly step up in that role and make those reads? Are they going to revert back to Justin Jackson a little bit more now that Austin Eckler's not in? Because they've had Josh Kelly's role has been Josh Kelly's role. This is the main thing I'm looking for. Josh Kelly's role has been the Melvin Gordon role. He's in there to pound the ball. You don't see him as often in the passing game. A quarterback's best friend is a passing game and a running game. I think you're going to see a good combination of Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly in that backfield playing almost 50-50, I think, going forward, which hurts them because Justin Jackson's 50-50 is not the same as Austin Eckler playing 50% of the snaps. So I'm really interested to see. And the thing I want to see is I got to see Hunter Henry catch a touchdown pass already. He is killing me in fantasy. I love Hunter Henry. I love what he does for this offense. That tight end is the best friend of a rookie quarterback. He's getting the looks. He's getting the targets. He's just not getting in the end zone. Will that stop with the Saints? We'll see.
I have good news for you on that front. So 4 straight weeks, the Saints have allowed a touchdown to the tight end position. So this is the game where, I don't think you go away from Hunter Henry, even though, he's let you down. He has not been who you thought he was going to be. This is not the week to go against him.
So you're saying this is a Darnold Parham touchdown game?
Yeah, probably. Most likely.
Yeah.
So, I love the Justin Jackson call. I actually really like Justin Jackson, and I like his talent. That's part of why I was down on Josh Kelly, is because I think Justin Jackson is a very good running back. And when you add in Eckler, I didn't know how much opportunity that was going to afford him. And I think Josh Kelly is a good running back too. But I just really like what Justin Jackson can do. I think you saw last week he ate into Josh Kelly's his workload. But again, Eckler's injury kind of throws a lot of that off. So that is definitely something to watch for Monday night, and I'm excited to see the Chargers are all of a sudden a kind of an exciting offense to watch.
They are fun, and as a Raiders fan, and I watch the AFC West a lot, I like to hate on the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. I'll give respect. I'm very excited to see, especially for fantasy purposes, this offense. If they're healthy, if that defense is healthy, it's one of the top defenses in the league. Melvin Ingram there with Joey Bosa, Derwin James. They went out and got Kenneth Murray for the linebacker. They got some pieces around there. Casey Hayward at corner, Chris Harris in the slot. Again, he's hurt too. Now they start putting some young talent on the offensive side of the ball, and it's definitely something you want to keep an eye on. But last week, I think Jefferson had six carries for 9 yards, 2 catches for 12, something in that ballpark. He's got a full week of practice now, and I think he's going to be practicing in that Eckler role. I think they have very defined roles. I think that's why you haven't seen more than 2 attempts since week 1. I think he had 2 carries in week 1 and then nothing until last week. It's because he's been the Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly are separate from one another. And unfortunately, Justin Jackson is the backup to Austin Eckler, where Josh Kelly gets his own role. Now Justin Jackson's going to get his own role to go opposite of Josh Kelly. I don't think Josh Kelly takes any Austin Eckler role. So that's something we're definitely watching, is that running back matchup. We kept it in hour and 45. Not bad with a 5-man panel for 3/4 of the game. So I'm pretty happy with how quickly we were able to run through that. If you're just tuning in, or you're obviously not tuning in because there's no one watching except probably me, this is kind of the format of the show going on. Bring a couple guests in, go some rapid fire, preview some matches. Here's some things we're looking for. Maybe throw a few hot takes out there. Definitely going to be a challenge every week, like this week's the makeup challenge here. Just a reminder, the loser of the bet is going to have their daughter come on live next week and do one of our faces in their makeup. And I'm not sure if Calvin loses this bet, it's got to be purple in respect to Kirk Cousins. She's got to have some eyeshadow purple. I don't know what mine's going to come up with. I'm scared if I lose this bet, because my daughter will go to town. Luckily, I've only got half a canvas compared to you to work with. So
I know. I'll be really curious. So just that. So the daughter that you will be having doing this, how old will she be?
12.
Okay, so she's going to be a little bit more. She'll be better at this. My daughter's 5 years old.
Dude,
so,
trust me, my daughter will do like a 5-year-old. She'll have too much fun with it. It'll look horrible. It'll be fantastic.
It will be a lot of fun. That's no doubt.
Yeah, so like I said, you're tuning in. The bet is Kirk Cousins' top 12 quarterback performance in week 5. This is week 5.
Yep.
We made it 5 weeks, and only one team is going to have to forfeit this year. So we're doing pretty good.
Ouch.
It's true. It's true. It's the Tennessee Titans. What can I say?
Hollywood. Do you
Again,
think how Hollywood is to blame?
Hollywood's always to blame.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. If you're going to blame anyone, it's going to be Hollywood.
I think it's
Especially when it comes to, especially when we're talking the Titans. So just before we head out here, special shout out to our buddies there over at FF Intervention. That's Chase Vernon at FF_intervention. That is Mike Fiala at Daddy's Home FF. And of course, our very own resident doctor for the Vipers. That's Jeff Mueller. That's JM Thrive. So THRIVEPT. You're going to want to check out JMTHRIVEPT on the Twitter machine. And Calvin, I'll say Dingus4 here. Calvin and Hobby, last word's yours. I'll let you sign us off tonight.
I'll just throw out just another shout out to another show that typically would come on right before us, but we did some work with them right before, is that FF Confidential. And Troy and Linda, who was holding it down in the chat room here, they do awesome work. So definitely find Troy and Linda on Twitter. If you're active on there, I'm sure you already know who they are. So they're a great follow. They have a great show. And man, we've got a really great Wednesday lineup all the way. We've got a few shows in a row. We got some really cool things that we're working together with. I love what we've got. And there's some really cool things ahead.
Yeah, so that's the guys, Johnny and Lindellians there, and Dino MC, TK Mode for Troy King. Check them out. Followed up by the Fantasy Football Intervention crew, and then us. And by the sounds of it, there's going to be a lot of times where we're going to cross into each other's shows, a little bit of cross promotion. Great guys. A lot of them we're in chats with. We talk football. And let's be honest, they're way cooler than we are. So definitely check them out. Calvin, I just jumped in there again, so I'm going to shut up.
No, that's check out Dynasty Vipers. It's a really cool website. Check it out.
Shout out to B Marksy for putting that together.
Yeah.
I know I said I'd let Calvin have the last say, but that's not going to happen. We gone.